Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Forsyth with Clarity by Christy. This is your weekly energy reading where we talk all about what's going on here in the collective energy, the astrology that's impacting each and every one of us, and how we can use this energy in order to make the most of it so that you can have the best week possible in the energy that we have available to you. So I'm live quite a bit earlier than I typically would be. I'm usually live about 6:15 Eastern time zone. I have an event for my kids tonight. And so I have to leave the office a little bit earlier. So here we are. We're here early. So I might have a lot of people who are catching the replay versus the live. So let me know. Let me know if you're watching live. Let me know if you're watching on the replay. Say hello. I always love to hear from you. Shoot me your favorite emojis if you don't want to share anything in the comments, but let me know how you guys are doing. So, this is how these readings work. We're going to talk about what I'm feeling in this energy, what messages I have received about this energy, and then we are going to dive into a tarot reading at the end and build upon the messages that I have connected with. So that's how this works. So I do recommend that you stick around to the end. Thank you so much to all of you who have already liked, subscribed, followed, all the things. It helps. Every little bit helps. And I love the energy exchange of that. That helps to connect your energy to these readings and to make these messages more personal for you. So make sure you do that if you haven't done that already. But thank you to those of you who are doing that, who are sharing everything. Let's dive into what's going on. So, this energy feels, although Mercury is officially out of retrograde, hallelujah, it still feels with this Mars retrograde, I think, and maybe winter and maybe lower light, like I feel tired. I feel like I'm moving more slowly, more intentionally, but I feel like I'm moving more slowly. And I feel like I'm needing that time to get myself centered a little bit, to come back to myself, to reconnect with myself. So I'm still using the energy of these retrogrades to focus on making sure that I'm going within, making sure that I'm intentionally listening to myself, that I'm trying to like tune out all the noise and uh all the expectations out there here in this world. And I think that this is something in this energy that we all should be doing in order to make sure that we're hearing what it is that our soul wants us to know. But I also feel like there's sort of like, I almost feel like I got like knocked in the head, is the best way to describe it. And I'm curious if you guys feel that too. Like it feels tired, it feels connected, but disconnected at the same time. And like, so when I leaned into what is this energy about, and I explored that and I felt into that, part of the message around that is that this is all about supporting us and letting our guard down. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you've just been maybe dealing with a lot of crisis situations or a lot of challenges, or you've just been like super duper busy, and it forces you to take your guard down because you just don't have the energy to keep your guard up. You just don't have the energy to uh, pretend that you're better than you actually are, or you're in a better place than you actually are, to keep up illusions, to try to be like this version of perfection. And so I think like this is in part inviting us to honor the imperfections within ourselves and giving us an opportunity to do that, because I think sometimes when we're a little bit more connected and a little bit more aware, we're a little bit better at keeping that mask on. And this is about taking down the mask. This is about letting people see you for who you are, the raw, unpolished, but beautiful part of ourselves. So you may find that you don't feel like you're going into situations, conversations, experiences with the same armor or the same mask that you would have been going into it with in the past. I'm curious if you guys are having these experiences already. let it help you take your guard down. Let it help you to be a more authentic version of yourself. Maybe you're like caught up in like the hustle and bustle even of the holiday season and you're like, I'm too busy to keep up with illusions. I don't have time for this. And I feel like there's a blessing in that, right? So we have that going on. And I also feel like it's letting us understand ourselves on a deeper level and what we want and who we are instead of these people that we want to pretend that we are, that we want to pretend to be. And so for those of us who can be perfectionists sometimes, this might be uncomfortable, but I think it's teaching us how to not do that as much and how to just be ourselves. I also feel like in this energy, like clarity has started to come through or already has come through or will be in the near future. Like there's this awareness of the bigger picture of things. Like I see a lot of looking back. I've been talking a lot in these weeklies about making peace with the past. And I think that there's a lot of that that's still happening. And as we make peace with the past, we're starting to understand the bigger picture of things. We're starting to understand maybe why some things had to happen the way that they did, or we're seeing the blessings that have come in through what we at one time may have considered to be a significant hardship in our lives. And I've been talking about how important it is for us to lean in. And so, like, ask yourself what you're feeling called to lean into. And what you're being shown and what you're now understanding, because like this is about us understanding parts of our own evolution. Like we're seeing our own evolution, we're understanding our evolution a little bit better, and that bigger picture of all of that. That's a really beautiful place to be. It's a really it's a gift. It's a gift. And so I love this for us. I'm curious, like, are you guys noticing that? Are there things like dots starting to connect, things starting to make sense? It doesn't mean that you have to like it or to like the way that it has gone down, but does it make sense? Do you understand it? Or do you understand what you now need to do with something? Because I think that there's a lot of that coming through. Excuse me. Let me just get a drink. We're also in this place where we're very much focused on how do I bring things down to earth, right? How do I allow Geez, excuse me, sorry guys. I've had this cough for a little while now. How do I move through my life in such a way that's going to support me in bringing the things that I want down to earth, right? In creating the kind of circumstances that I want to create. Or preparing to move into Capricorn season. And I always say that's get your shit together energy, where we take a look at, okay, like what do I need to do here? And I like feel that starting to come in already. And it's like almost like this energy of like, how are you feeling called to prepare for your manifestations, right? Can you begin now to act as if they're coming in some way? To start to take steps in that direction, to start to lean into the energy and the direction that a lot of these things are already flowing into, moving into. I hope that makes sense. I wish that I could speak. Let me just. But I think part of this is like, what commitments do you need to make to yourself in order to allow this to fully develop? I think we're seeing beginnings of things. I think we're seeing like seeds starting to sprout, things starting to develop. And now it's like, okay, but what do I need to do in order to nurture this thing, these things in my life? What do I need to do? What do I need to shift, change? What habits might support that better? And so I think we're taking a look at all of that so that we can prepare ourselves for these manifestations that want to come in. Because if we aren't there with that, we're not going to be able to hold them, if that makes sense. Like it's almost like we've got to get our energy to that place to be fully prepared to hold it. Like the example that I'm getting right now is like, you know how they talk about people who win the lottery, that so often they don't become wealthy for the long term, right? A lot of times they blow through all of that money. And that's because, like, yes, it manifested, but a lot of times their habits, their behaviors, their lifestyle hasn't shifted in order to be able to hold the energy of that for the long term. And so because of that, they spend all the money or go, like whatever. So this is about really stabilizing your energy in some way to be able to hold the bigger vision. And so this is going to require a lot of that acting as if, making choices that align with that life that you want to have, or that circumstance in your life that you want to have, or that better version of yourself that you want to be. And so there's a process connecting with that. I also, when I was connecting with messages, heard stop writing your stories from past disappointments. So we're still working on making peace from the past a little bit, right? And I think we're taking a look at that and noticing, oh, like this doesn't have to be the same in the present as it was in the past. In fact, a lot of the triggers that are coming up are not meant to be a warning sign for us to say, oh, no, protect yourself. They're meant to be an indication that we need to take a look at that, and we need to figure out, how might I heal this? How might I let this go so that I can write a story that better aligns with where I want to go? So be careful with that. Be careful about running away from your blessings, because I think that there's a lot of blessings coming through and a lot of happy circumstances that are happening now if we're allowing it. And I think a lot of it, to be honest with you, is because like our guard is just down, right? A lot of times blessings come in when we're not focused on them, when we're not thinking about them. I hear it all the time. I experience it all the time, where it's like we let something go that we're trying to actively manifest, and then just when we thought that we let that go, the thing that we want to manifest comes in. But that's because you let it go. That's because you untethered yourself from the vision and just gave it room to breathe. You trusted that it would come through. And I think that there's a lot of that happening right now. And so don't run away from the blessings that are wanting to come in. And also don't get too caught up in it needing to happen a specific way. I hope that makes sense with all of that. So let's pull some cards and see what the cards have to say in regard to all that we're talking about. So let me know how this is resonating for you. I always love to hear from you guys. Let me know what's going on in your world. Say hello, whatever you want to do. Are you guys feeling that low energy too? I'm tired, but I feel like I've been like just in this reflective mode for sure. If you guys are interested in buying gift cards, I do have a few of my personal email tarot readings as a voice recorded reading, or any of other of my holiday specials. All of that is up at claritybychristy.com/ChristyMiss. So I'll put that link down below too. Make sure that you check that stuff out. But I think that I have for the voice recorded readings, that's an email reading. So I do, you get on my reading list and I make my way through the list. I'm still making my way through my current list, but I think I have a couple more up, and it's voice recorded. So I pull cards for you. I record the voice recording. I send it to your email. You listen to it when you can, and you listen to it as often as you would like to remind yourself throughout the year what your messages are throughout the year. This is a big week. This is big energy, even though it feels like kind of mellow and slower. Goodness, I swear I wasn't coughing like this before I started to do this reading. So I think there's a lot with communication too. I've been talking a bit about that in some of my recent readings. So what do you need to communicate? What's on your mind? What are you thinking about? I think there's a lot to support that. I think that full moon really supported communication as well. So I think it's okay to share what's on our hearts, to share what's on our minds, to be having conversations about these things. Again, like as your guard is down, that might be a really beautiful time to be doing that. Sorry. Wow. All right. Let's see if I can talk. I'm going to try. Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. I pulled 6 cards. I can't even do a 6. Okay. 6 cards. And 4 out of the 6 cards are major arcana cards. So what does that mean? That means that we have a lot of big things happening this week. Even in this energy feels very subtle, but these are big shifts. So we'll talk about that as we get to it. But bigger life events, bigger, more destined things that are happening. I feel like this is a very destined time for blessings to come in, for people to come in, for us to have important experiences. And so there's a lot going on with that. We're going to start with this first card, and that's the Knight of Wands. So this feels like it's in support of what commitments we need to make and to stay committed to those. Because if we're honest, like the Knight of Wands can be a little wishy-washy, can be a little in and out, a little, I think I'm going to do this and very passionate about it one day. And the next day, not at all that. And I think that this is important for us to be mindful of. Like, we want to learn in this energy, how do I do this in a more consistent way? And that might mean that you're not showing up to it with the same gusto that is that a word? I think that's a word. That you would typically show up, right? I just, like, for me this week, I don't have the energy to do that. So I have to be intentional with my energy and to really think about, okay, like, what's important and what do I want to invest my time and my energy into, and to make sure that I'm doing that consistently. So that may mean that you're not allowing as many distractions in your life. I feel like this is about focusing. You're not allowing the distractions. You're not allowing yourself to do the mindless scrolling and to be escaping reality all the time. This is about being present, which is huge in this energy, and focusing on the things that we need to be focusing on in a consistent way, and using the energy that we do have to make things happen. and to create a momentum for ourselves as much as we can create a momentum in this energy. The Hierophant, also being called to focus on our spiritual connection, to focus on our spiritual growth, to focus on our spiritual development. You might be feeling more spiritual. I've had a lot of conversations. I mean, obviously, I have a lot of spiritual conversations every day, all day, but definitely I've had more of those in the past couple weeks. And I suspect that we will be. And so I think this is also about us looking at our faith and looking at what we believe and being open to different beliefs and maybe even just letting this rawness, this guard, when our guard is down, letting us lean into our higher power, into spiritual leadership, these kind of things to help show us the way, rather than letting our ego tell us what we want or what's right, what's wrong. Letting our intuition show us what's right, what's wrong, letting God and the path and the journey show us what's right and what's wrong for us. I don't believe that there's truly like right, wrong necessarily, although I think there are better paths, right? And so letting God show us the better path, letting God show us the bigger vision that's available to us. You know, you've heard that saying, you make plans and God laughs. I felt that so much lately, but I think this is part of us starting to understand the bigger picture of things and where God has had his hand, the universe has had their hand in this every single step of the way, which is beautiful. The next card is the Sun card. I think that there's a lot of joy that's available here, but this is going to require presence. This is going to require openness. This is going to require us to be willing to be vulnerable, because that vulnerability is the pathway through which we connect with the light, the pathway through which we connect with joy and peace. And if you have your guard up all the time, if you seal your energy off, you're never going to connect with that to its fullest capacity. And I think we're learning that. And this more unpolished version of ourselves is starting to understand, like, oh, it's kind of nice here. It's kind of nice to just be me and to just show up without any need for things to be perfect. Because when are they ever actually perfect anyway? The next card, the Devil card. Yeah, I think we're working on continuing to set ourselves free from whatever we felt stuck to, chained to. I feel like this is about releasing from the past. And maybe we're recognizing again where the past had to be the past, the way that it happened, so that we can learn the things that we needed to learn. I was having a conversation with somebody in a session today, and he was talking about how he thinks that God gives us opportunities, that it's not necessarily always God doing things for us, although I think that a lot is orchestrated for us, but that we get these opportunities, we get these openings. And I think we have these, a lot of these happening always, but maybe more of them happening right now. And so this is about leaning into the openings that are showing up and being willing and being willing to look at the fear that's coming up for us for whatever reason that's coming up, and being willing to lean in anyway, being willing to no longer stay stuck in an old story, but to lean into new stories and to set ourselves free from the ways that we felt stuck for a long time. Next card, the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, this is a slower moving energy. This is absolutely slow, steady, and paced, right? Very different from this Knight of Wands. So I think it's like we have to harness the fire that we have with this Knight of Wands, but spread it out evenly, consistently into the things that matter. and to not waste even an ounce, if we can help it, of our energy on the things that don't matter. Like if you catch yourself like, oh, that's not that important. That doesn't matter. Um, Redirect yourself. Focus on what matters. Focus on where you're going. Focus on what you feel is an important part of your present and certainly an important building block to your future. And the last card is the Hermit. No surprise here. This is very hermity energy. I feel very hermity. Did you guys ever notice like my voice is different with all of these readings? And it's just because I'm such a conduit to the energy. And I feel very hermity. I feel very reflective and like I'm connecting with deep ideas and understanding for myself and for other people. And so there's this really beautiful unfolding that's happening in the energy this week. I hope that you guys lean in. I hope that you let yourself be raw, unpolished, and let that beauty of all that you were created to be shine through. I love you all, and I will see you soon with another video. Take care.